السلام عليكم أيها الشعب السوري. هاي في عنا شغلة كتير مهمة هون على هذا الفيديو عم أسجله من يوتيوب. عم يقول لك إنه بشار عم يصور حاله وهو فايت على القصر جاي على الشغل تبعه. يعني مو مصدق إنه هو بيقدر يفوت على القصر بعد الضربة الأمريكية وبيقدر يفوت على شغله على المكتب تبعه، لأنه بيعرف إنه هو كان بإيران هربان على إيران وهلا بده يرجع يورجي الشعب إنه هو رجع على دمشق بعد ما هرب لإيران لمدة أسبوعين. يلا شوفوا. So after Bashar Assad escaped to Iran, he's coming back to his palace and he's showing us that he's coming to his job from 9 to 5 in his palace. Right? So this is to confirm that he escaped to Iran and then he came back to Iran from Iran with his family.
For the Syrian leader today. Earlier in the day, his office, the presidency, sent out a tweet saying good souls will not be humiliated. But we also heard from Syria's foreign ministry, which called the attacks by the three nations, Western nations, illegal. And that's much the same sort of reaction that we're seeing from Iran. The supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei.
These are the gangsters by Bashar
of
al-Assad.
the UK, US, and
The actors.
France criminals. And he said that the
showing that they love him
really
as usual.
Anything.
He brings actors, he
now have
pays
heard
them money. Iranian actors
Iraq as well.
and
They're
Lebanese
saying
actors.
That, at a summit of Arab leaders tomorrow, it's critical that Arab leaders do discuss the crisis in Syria. So here in Israel, quite a different tone. Of course, they backed the military action, the limited military action by the three nations. Which comes just a week after it's believed that Israel itself hit out at what's believed to be an Iranian base inside Syria. So it's a quiet Saturday here in Tel Aviv, but I can certainly tell you that these strikes obviously have ratcheted up the tensions in this already volatile region across the Middle East.
Thanks for this, Derek. CBC Middle East correspondent Derek Stoffel in Jerusalem. U.S. President Donald Trump addressed his nation last night. Trump saying that he ordered the coordinated airstrike in order to punish the regime for the chemical weapons attack. Here is more of what he had to say.
Last Saturday, the Assad regime again deployed chemical weapons to slaughter innocent civilians, this time in the town of Douma, near the Syrian capital of Damascus. This massacre was a significant escalation in a pattern of chemical weapons use by that very terrible
عم يقول هذا انه تأكدنا انه المجرم بشار الشرير بشار هو ضرب دوما، قتل اطفال ونساء واباء الاطفال بالغاز.
These are not the actions of a man, they are crimes of a monster instead.
هذا جرائم متوحش ليس إنسان.
It's also about sending a clear message to Assad that chemical weapons are never to be used. For more on what we're hearing from Washington, let's bring in the CBC Stephen D'Souza, who's been watching all of this from New York. So, Stephen, take us through the White House position on these strikes.
Well, much more somber tone from the president than
earlier
in the week, signaling that these attacks were coming. And as you heard the president saying that the attack in Douma by the Syrian regime was a significant escalation in the regime's use of chemical weapons, and that the strike was a deterrent to prevent the spread and the use of chemical weapons by the Syrian regime. Trump, in his statement last night, also did something he's so far been reluctant to do, which is call out Russia. He called out Russia for its failure to live up to its promise in 2013 to force Syria to dismantle its chemical weapons regime. Trump also said that this strike is a limited strike, that it's not about the U.S. getting into a longer, prolonged conflict in Syria. And that's a point that was echoed by Secretary of Defense James Mattis. He said this was not about targeting Bashar al-Assad and regime change. Mattis also laid out the legal justification for the attack.
طبعا هذا كذب، انه يريدوا يطيروا بشار ويغيروا النظام بسوريا، انه عم يحضروا الانقلاب، هناك تحضير لانقلاب ضد عصابات بشار.
Here's more from James Mattis.
But right now, this is a one-time shot, and I believe that it sent a very strong message to dissuade him, to deter him.
ضربة واحدة وهي رسالة مهمة جدا.
Now, he said that the targets were carefully chosen to avoid civilian casualties. in Syria. Nancy
I'm أقدم
Pelosi
شوية.
tweeting that she wonders where the overall Syrian strategy.
عم أسجل أنا. إيه.
France and the United Kingdom played a key role in the attack. As
I'm
we said
أسجل.
earlier, British Prime Minister Theresa May briefed reporters on the operation. CBC's Dominic Velitis has more on that from London.
John, she's been briefing journalists at Downing Street. 4 RAF Tornado jets were involved in these early morning
هي
strikes.
4 طيارات
Specifically, they were used to target
بريطانية
a military facility
قصفت
near Homs, where it was believed,
وضربت
according to the
منطقة حمص
Ministry of Defense, that Syria had stockpiled chemical weapons.
محل ما
This
بيخزنوا
was, Theresa May
بحمص
said, a
الكيماوي.
limited and targeted strike, and one designed to minimize civilian casualties. Here's a little more.
القصف شايفين دخان؟ دخان هائل وكبير.
This was not about interfering in a civil war, and it was not
مروح الكلام تبعها هي تheresa May.
Attack in Salisbury, which the UK blames Russia for. Now, in her statement, John, Theresa May went on to say Britain and its allies had sought to use every diplomatic means to stop the use of chemical weapons, but had been repeatedly thwarted, citing there a Russian veto of an independent investigation into the Duma attack at the UN.
الآن أهانوه لبوتين وصفعوا كف على وجهه. فبوتين لن يلعب بعد الآن مع الغرب. سوف يبوس قدمين كل رؤساء الغرب ليوقف العقوبات عليه. هذا الصرصور فلاديمير بوتين.
But Theresa May was adamant that these strikes were taken in conjunction with the United States and France were.
تلاحظوا انه ما طلبوا من البرلمان، ما اخذوا اذن من البرلمان، يعني ضربة محترمة، يعني اتخذ القرار بتدمير بشار وعصاباته. نقدمها شوي.
The Assad regime must bear responsibility for that.
لازم نحمل مسؤولية لبشار.
And it's also important that
يعني حتى كندا هي ضد بشار.
allies of the Assad regime, Russia and Iran, share in that moral responsibility.
قالوا إنه إيران وروسيا هي متحمل مسؤولية الكيماوي.
So John, what exactly is Canada's role?
يلا ما بدنا نطول عليكم، هي صار 7 دقائق.
Well, if you go to the government of Canada's website to see what our response is, it
يلا
has
السلام عليكم.